Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I won't start without comment. Can you hear me? I hope you can. Yes. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, baby. Okay, all right. Okay, so we're going to start now. This is my first live session talking about Himendunja, and I've gotten a lot of suggestions concerning about Himendunja. Thank you, Alexis. Yes, this to some this can be a mysterious tool, and when the first time I heard about Himendunja, it's the same feeling I had. It's something that's so mysterious, but it's an amazing tool, and I hope that you actually learn about Kimandunja, because this is one tool that you can actually learn from a lot, especially when it comes to strategy or tactics and so on and so forth. But before we actually dive in, I'd like to first explain to you what Kimandunja. But before I actually start, why not ask instead if you've heard of Kimandunja? Thank you so much, Shell. Thank you for being here. Yes. Have you heard of Kimandunja? Is the term familiar? If you've heard this before, then you probably know by now that this is actually a tool where the art. Yes, last year. Thank you, Michelle. Yes, very good. So you would agree that you're also aware that Kimandunja is actually a tool where the art of war of Sun Tzu was actually based on. And from that tool alone, they were able to actually identify the proper strategies in terms of handling war or tactical warfare. No, and to this point, no, actually not to this point. Now, in our current generation, when we talk about Kimandunja, this is now being used. Of course, we don't have war. This is now being used by CEOs or owners of any company, because of course, when we run a business, it's like as if you're running, warfare, and you're actually going into battle. No, a battle in a sense wherein you're actually trying to get a chunk of the market, and to be able to do that, you have to strategically plan your operations, your business, in order to actually to have a proper launching of any product and so on and so forth, or strategy how to beat the competition and so on and so forth. Okay, so basically that's the story of the Kimandunja. It's actually a warfare tool that's being used today by CEOs, even executives, on how to actually plan, how to negotiate, how to tackle any lawsuits and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is one tool that I'd like you to actually learn and discover. And I hope that you actually, through my own webinar, this will actually inspire you to actually learn more about the art. Okay? Okay, and to be honest, this is a tool that I cannot live without. Especially when I'm having second thoughts on a specific decision, this is something that I look for. I don't actually use Kimandunja in everything. I'm very particular. I make sure that I ask the very valid, no? I don't ask stupid questions when it comes to Kimandunja. I make sure that it's something that it's worthwhile before I actually use Kimen. Primarily because I want to actually make use of my own instincts that would direct me to do the right direction, or right decision in terms of any planning. Okay, I hope it makes sense, but yes. Okay, so but before we actually dive in, I'd like to first introduce to you, if you have any questions, do type in. I'm just gonna run through all the slides, and I'll come back every now and then. Okay, so now we have here an image of how truly connected all the Chinese metaphysics, or the tool that I'm actually teaching you through my YouTube channel, even my Facebook. The universe, actually, in a nutshell, this is what we have, the Pachi chart. We're in a lot of, not a lot, but yes, actually, the entire chart in our Pachi chart. You cannot change it. It's something that's given to you, whether you like it or not. And then the earth represents the Feng Shui, your environment, the things that's surrounding you. And then the self, this is all about your perspective, how you actually think, and at the same time, the actions that you actually do that is in alignment to the universe and to the earth. Okay, so how are they related? Actually, any missing part of this trinity is won't actually create the manifestation that you actually want in your life. In order to create a very your own manifestation, they have to be aligned together. Meaning, just to give you an example, say for instance, in terms of your Pachi chart, it says there that you have a lot of opportunities coming along your way. All right, and then you look at your feng shui; it's properly aligned to your Pachi chart, to your actual goals. All right, it's something that supports you. But if we actually look at to the self, you don't do the right actions, or your perspective is actually is not aligned. Meaning, say, you're doing the right process, you're doing the right actions, you're doing the right activities, but you don't have faith towards your actions, toward the things that you actually do. That actually is a disconnect that causes disconnect between the trinity. At the end of the day, in order for any manifestations that you want in your life, they have to be aligned. Okay, align to your Pachi chart, align to your feng shui, and at the same time align to yourself. Now, Kimen is actually used for forecasting, but it's actually way beyond that. It also tackles manifestations and cleansing. Okay, but before I actually dive in, I hope if you have any question, I can see the chart, the chat. So I'll go back every now and then. Okay, so no questions. So there, just to explain to you the importance of having the right perspective, the right mindset, and at the same time doing the right actions, while aligning yourself or your environment to, yes, or aligning your environment that would actually support you and your goals and aspirations. Okay, so again, the Pachi chart is something that's beyond our control. It's something that we cannot alter. What we can alter when we talk about the Pachi chart, this is just to connect myself to the Kimen. What one thing that we can actually alter in our Pachi chart is our own actions. Okay, our only actions towards the circumstances that's given to us to our Pachi chart. Now, the Kimen, this is a tool that would allow you to pick the right strategies, to pick the right actions, so you know how to maneuver through any adversity or any challenges ahead. Okay, it's going to give you a specific action that you can actually focus on when we're talking about forecasting. But in order for you to actually utilize the forecasting method of Kim and Dundra, you have to align yourself first to the tool and to the 10 deities. Okay, beyond the forecasting, we can actually do a cleansing. It eliminates all the negative vibration that you have in yourself. It also pushes you to help you achieve your small goals, to create manifestation on your daily goals, and yes, daily goals. And then the last is feng shui. Yes, there's also feng shui for this is what we call the 8 doors. There's also feng shui for the Kim and Dunya. But for the purpose of our discussion today, we are going to focus more rather on the cleansing and the manifestations. But before you can actually get there, you have to first build a relationship with your own 10 deities. Okay, but before you actually build a relationship with your own 10 deities, you have to get to know them first. Okay. Okay, so here are the 10 deities that I actually have. But if you have any questions, please raise. If you have questions. Do you have questions, Nan? This is all clear so far, especially when I talk about the three trinity. I hope I was able to tackle that a little bit clearly. That's why it's important to actually align yourself. There's always a lag. Okay. But if you have any questions, just type in. Okay, I hope that's clear when it comes to the Trinity, and it's very important. Again, when you want to actually maximize the tools of any Chinese metaphysics, you have to align them all yourself, your yes, clear. Okay, your environment, and then your patchy chart, and then use that strategically to create your own planning, and through that you'll be able to create your own manifestation. Or you can actually create your own destiny according to your own will if you're able to actually maximize every opportunity that's laid out through your patchy chart, your Kimen, and your Feng Shui. Okay, Feng Shui is just an aid. If I were to it's just an aid, okay? But when it comes to specific actions, what you want is to learn about Kimen. If you want to learn how to, should I actually go into a new business venture, or should I even, but it's actually a bad question when we're talking about the should, but just to give you an example, if you want to ask specific questions concerning that, if you want to find more clarity, we look at the Kimen Dunla. But at the end of the day, you cannot utilize this art unless, or this tool, unless you're connected to your own deities. Okay. Now we're going back to the 10 deities. We have here Chief, Moon, Harmony, Earth, Heaven, snake, hook, tiger, phoenix, and tortoise. Okay? Of all the 10 deities, the number one is sort of like the genie in the bottle, is the chief. Okay? It's benevolent. It's all about serving others. Okay? And it's the highest, highest deity amongst the rest. Okay? And then next is when it comes to the moon, this is all about knowledge, information, education. Okay? And then harmony is all about relationship. This is actually the happiest amongst the deities. This is all about connecting with others, building relationship. If you're actually going to look into finding a new partner, this is the deity that you actually want. If you want to, find opportunity to get married, this is the deity that you want to chase. Okay, and then next is Earth. This is all about charity. This is all about giving help to others. If you're trying to wish for someone else instead of you, if you want to make a wish and then you want to wish for someone's benefit, this is the deity that you actually want to chase. Okay, and then next is the Heaven. This is all about new ventures that requires traveling, wherein you have to actually go somewhere in order to build a business and so on and so forth. This is the deity that you actually want to chase. I know you probably noticed now when I talk about the chase. Yes, you can literally chase them on a monthly, yearly, and yearly basis. But we'll go there. But first, let's get to know all the deities first before we start chasing them. Okay, next is snake. This is all about strategic planning. This is all about tactics and schemes and so on and so forth. And then hook is all about acquiring real estate, trying to acquire something for yourself. Okay, next is tiger. This is all about energy, having the resilience to actually go through any performance. If you're trying to achieve more energy, if you're a performer and you want to sustain that energy all throughout, this is the deity that you actually want to chase. Okay, and then for the phoenix, this is all about being able to actually speak, being able to have this oratorical skills, and be able to influence others through speaking. All right. So if you're a person who wants to be an influencer that's at the same time good at speaking, you chase the phoenix. All right. And of course, tortoise, last but not the least, this is all about leveraging. Sorry. This is all about leveraging, wherein you have something and you want to get something and you would want to actually maximize this leverage that you have in order to gain something. Okay. So that's what it is, the tortoise. Okay, clear about the 10 days. This is just a summary. Again, this is just a basic that I want to give with the to start giving to you. So when I start elaborating further, Kimen Dunja, this is something that you can use as a basis from. Start. Questions? None. All right, good. No questions. I didn't expect this is going to be quite quick. Okay. All right. This is quicker than the forecasting. Okay, so this is my weekly video YouTube, and I'm trying to do this live, so you get to ask questions while I'm doing my weekly YouTube video. All right, so there are different ways to actually create and build that relationship. Once again, if you want to actually be strong or to have a foundation when it comes to forecasting, because when we do a forecasting for key men, this also builds your intuition. Okay, it builds your intuition, but before you can even get there, you have to build that connection with your deity. Okay, meaning there is constant communication or connection that you actually have to go or do on a daily basis, especially if you're starting new. And doing it daily will help you build that strong foundation with your deity, so that when you actually make a wish, they'll listen because you already have this strong foundation. I've seen this, many times. It created miracles for me, and which is why I want to teach this to you, so you can actually start practicing that, building that strong connection with your deity. Okay, so but before we go there, so I have here the the Destiny Palace to show you where you can actually find this in your chart. Hold on. Okay, so I have here an example of Apache chart. Okay, now to actually find that connection, we actually find it here. Can you see the highlighted portion? I hope you can see the highlighted portion. I cannot demarcate or do something. Okay, so there. Yeah, so that's basically where this is what we're actually the Kimen Destiny Palace, meaning this is where your back facing direction is the home or the natal chart when it comes to your Kimen Destiny Palace. This is the natal chart. At the end of the day, every year the location changes. But if we're going to go back to basic, this is what we actually look for, the Kimen Destiny Palace. And if we're going to look at the example, the deity that we're going to chase in the south sector is the chief. Are we clear? Okay, once again, okay, when we're looking at if you have your personal chart, if you don't have your personal chart, I'll put it in the caption box. Again, please plot your chart and then put in your birth hour and your birthday, and then you'll find this image. Now, if you want to find where do I actually place my back, what am I talking about? What do you mean place my back? I'll give that instruction in a few minutes. In the meantime, I want you to find out first where's your Kimen Destiny Palace. Okay, so it's here based on the chart. It's in the south sector, and the Guardian of Destiny is Chief. Okay, so remember this. In the next slide, I'll be able to give you some steps on how to actually create that connection or build that connection with your deity. Now, say for instance, this is you're quite good at it, and you're able to build a foundation, and you want to actually start chasing the annual stars. This is where we go. All right, at the bottom. Okay. Okay, so at the bottom, I have here actually the location for each deity. For the Earth, this is actually located at the south for 2021. Okay, so for 2021, it's not the chief as compared to what I actually showed you a while ago. For 2021, we have the Earth deity that's located in the south sector. Okay, so again, when we're trying to do, which I'm about to show you, don't worry, when we're trying to chase any deity, it's actually based on your annual or your day your deity. Your deity and Destiny Palace, okay? So it depends on what's your purpose, and at the same time, who you're going to chase or which deity you're going to chase. Okay, so now that's clear. So again, we can actually chase the deity either in based on your Destiny Palace or the annual luck pillar. So like I mentioned a while ago, that's where you actually find the annual. And next is the monthly chart. The monthly chart depends on what kind of deity you're trying to chase. Say for instance, you want to chase relationship. So what you're going to look for is where the harmony is located on a monthly basis. Now, this is going ahead, and I don't want to overwhelm you because Kimen is quite big. Let's just start with the basic, which is actually cleansing and the manifestation when it comes or using your deity. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. Okay, when I'm talking about a while ago, I showed you based on your destiny direction. This it's located there at the south sector. Okay, in the south. Can you see my? Okay. Can you see this? Sorry, I'm not sure if you saw my slides a while ago. Can you see this? Yes. Yes. Very good. Yes, very good. Yes, I agree. Earth for 2021. Yes, is Earth. So that's actually located at the south just for 2021. Come 2022, it's a different deity. Okay, good. All right. So good. Thank you. All right. Okay. So there. So when we're talking about chasing your destiny location, and you want to start first building that relationship, so you have this strong connection with them. At the end of the day, what you want is to have this strong intuition, because intuition is your universal language. Okay, universal language, wherein this is one way for the universe to directly speak to you. So having a stronger intuition is one way to, it's one thing that you will get from as you continuously build your relationship with your deity. Okay, so again, when we're trying to build that connection with our destiny or your Kimen, yes, destiny palace, the first thing that you should do is to actually count from 64 to 0. Okay, what I do is I count from 64 to 0. If you're going advanced, you can actually start to 8. Okay, but since we're beginning, we're starting with a 64 to 0. If you ever you get lost along the way, you have to start from the beginning. You might ask why. Because we want you to stay focused on the counting, and at the same time relax, focused and relax. Okay, I don't want you to feel stern when you're going through the counting stage. You have a sense of feeling. For you to actually know if you actually went through the sage process, is that you're focused but you're calm. Okay, it's just there's this sense of calmness that you cannot even explain. It's easier for you when you're done doing that. It's easy for you to tackle the rest of the day. Even if, like, say, after the meditation process or the stage mode, your assistant comes to you and tells you there's a problem. It's so easy for you to actually make a decision, despite the fact that it's something that's critical, something that's confusing. But because you're able to do the sage mode, it's easy for you to stay focused. It's easy for you to actually pinpoint which particular decision has a priority, which one I should focus on, and so on and so forth. This is why I like sage mode, especially when I'm going through some bad days. I don't know what to do, or I'm like actually confused. I do my sage mode, and then I tell my wishes. And because of saying those 3 wishes, it allows me to stay focused and exactly find out what are the actions that I should actually start doing so I can actually achieve those wishes. Okay. By the way, when you're going to say those wishes, make sure the wishes are within the realm of possibility. Don't give me, I want to wish to win the lottery. No, it won't work that way. A lot of you are wishing the same thing. So, and according to my teacher, when you're asking for winning the lottery, there's something in exchange that you might even get, right? So instead of wishing for the lottery, why not being good at, serving others? Why not wish that I become a better businesswoman, or so on and so forth, or a better product provider, and so on and so forth. Okay, so but then there. So when you're going to say your wishes, you say it 3 times for each wish, and make sure it's something that's within the realm of possibility to make it make it faster. It's faster actually that way. If within the realm of possibility, or 30%. 30%. There's a 30%. 30% chance for it to make it happen. That's something that you can actually use as gauge whether or not your wish is something that's uh, realistically possible. Okay, so there's 30% chance for it to happen. Okay, so that's how you're going to actually pick your wishes. So say your wishes 3 times every time, and then at the same, the first thing that I did, just to, sorry, I'm confusing you. The first thing that I did, okay, when I was starting my Keyman or my Sage mode, I started with the thank yous. I started, thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for this, and then the next is I gave the 3 wishes. And then from the 3 wishes, what I did is I gave three or actions aligned to those wishes in order for them to happen. Okay, so that's the thing that I did when I was starting. And yes, I did see some miracles from this. So that's what you do on a daily basis. Set a time for yourself. But I will give you a date where you can actually start your cleansing. And your manifestation. Now, these are general dates. Okay, now going back to the slides. Now, like I mentioned a while ago, there are 3 things, 4 things that you can actually do with Kimen. The first one is the forecast, cleansing, manifestation, and the Feng Shui. Now, when we're talking about the cleansing and the manifestation, this is what the 3 things that I'm actually talking about: the divine light, divine blessing, and the divine force. Divine force. Okay. When we're talking about divine light, if this is something that you want to eliminate any bad omens, any bad vibration, bad energy, even healing, this is actually good. There, dispel bad luck and so on and so forth. Divine light, sorry. For divine blessing, this is all about success in doing something, like doing a business venture, putting out a new product, wish fulfilling, even just for wishing or just for doing the sage mode, you can still do this if there is a wish that you want to fulfill. Now, if we're going to talk about the connection, how to actually do this at its strongest power or vibration, we actually do this on a personal scale. We look at the birthday and then the birth hour, and then we look for the divine light and the divine blessing and the divine force. There's many layers that you actually have to do in order to get the specific date and the specific hour. Now, in the next the next slide that I'm actually going to give you, this is something that's in general. There's 3 layers that I actually had to do, but this is more in general, but still good, especially if you're starting out in doing your cleansing or manifestation. And when you're doing the cleansing or manifestation, it's the same process. What you do is you face your back, and since there's not necessary, when I do my cleansing, I don't do the 64-0. Okay, I don't do my 64-0 anymore. When I'm doing the cleansing, when I'm wishing or trying to manifest something, I do the 64-0. But when the moment there's a specific time that it's good for my cleansing, there's no more 64-0. I just relax, and then I start, wishing the things that I want to be dispelled. What's the cleansing that I want? I want to say, I want to forgive or let go of the pains that I've had in the past, and so on and so forth. I go direct because it's easier for me to actually get centered or to do the sage mode when I do the cleansing. But if it's harder for you to focus when you're going to do the cleansing, you can start with the 64-0. But if not, it's easy for you to get centered when we're talking about cleansing, then you start. Okay. Okay, so the best day is to actually start for your divine light. Like I mentioned a while ago, divine light is all about cleansing. It's all about dispelling all the bad luck. What you're going to do is on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. I know. That's why I'm pushing to have this video, because this is one of the dates. It's tomorrow at 11 p.m. What you do is you back face your southwest. And then you do your own, all the cleansing. If they say, I want to let go of the past, I want to let go of the past mistakes, I want to let go. Basically, this is all about letting go of all the bad things that you've had in your life. And this is sort of like a cleansing mode, so you can actually start over, start anew, and forgetting the mistakes or the pain that you've had in the past. Okay, and then when it comes to divine blessing, if say you want, after cleansing all all the bad energies or bad lucks that you've probably had or the bad mistakes that you want to forget. You now want to move on and you want to make a change for your life, and you want to create new blessings or new opportunities for yourself. Then you start doing the divine blessing, which is going to be at September 10 at 11 p.m. It's at the northwest. So again, in divine light, this is a back facing southwest, and for September 10, this is northwest at 11. They have the same time but different directions. Okay, you have any questions? Oh, Chell is asking if do we need to do a sage mode? Yes, this is actually a good question. If it's in my case, just to share my experience. In my case, when I do a cleansing, I don't anymore. It's easier for me to stay focused because whenever I'm talking about cleansing, okay, this just happens to me when I'm cleansing. But when it comes to manifestation, that's when I do the sage mode. I count to 64 to 0. But if cleansing, I sit down. It's because you know the things that you want to let go of. You're so focused. You're not so focused. You probably are aware of that, and you don't need the need to stay focused in remembering the things that you want to let go. I hope I'm making sense. So, which is why I don't do the sage mode when I do the cleanse. I just sit down and then I let go. I hope that's clear, Chel, for the cleansing. So you can do that. Other questions? Actually, okay. Yes, good. All right. So there are different effects when you're actually doing the cleansing. Some people, that a teacher said that some people actually defecate or they experience diarrhea after doing the cleansing. Some vomit. No, they vomit. After the cleansing, it's really dispelling the bad energy or probably some cursing probably and so on. So some vomit or defecate or diarrhea. Okay, that's what they experience whenever they're doing the cleansing. Other questions, especially if this is confusing, because I know when I started learning about Kimen, this was confusing. Nah, no more question. All clear. I hope it's clear. So that's what you do. Just to summarize the entire thing, if you want to make use of the Kimen or the complete tool of Chinese metaphysics, you have to learn to connect to the universe. Okay, and at the same time, you have to align your perspective to your behavior, or to your Pachi chart and then your Feng Shui. Make sure that your actions align, and at the same time, have faith in your own actions. You have to believe in what you're actually doing when you're trying to chase your dream or your aspiration. Just to give you a more example, when somebody sells. Right, when somebody sells or influences others, they are successful at influencing because they're able to share how much passionate or how much they believe in that product. It's not the scale of being able to sell. It's because you're able to pass on that faith, that belief in that product or your what you're actually doing. Okay, so that's the same thing. With the Kimen Dunja and connecting yourself to the Trinity. You have to believe in the process. You have to believe in your own goal. You have to believe in your own abilities to actually get there. Because even if you connect everything the right way, doing the right pachi, doing the right feng shui, you do the forecasting, and then you still doubt the process, you doubt every step that if every step that you actually do, it's the same thing. You're disconnecting yourself, part of self, to the entire Trinity. Okay, I hope that's clear. It's very short. I never expected this to be short. It usually takes longer, but it's short. Okay, are there questions? clarifications about Kimen Dunja. If you have any questions, if you've heard about Kimen and you want to learn more, do PM. Because the reason why I create these topics is because I'm imagining myself like a beginner. That's why most of my subjects are very basic, no? Because I want to introduce to as many as I can to the Chinese metaphysics tool. So I kind of think like a beginner. Okay. Manifestation po. Paano malaman if nagka-sage? Ooh, this is a good question. I love it. Okay, so manifestation. So she's asking if, yes, what Shell is asking is, now, how do you know if you actually got through the sage mode? You're relaxed. You're so relaxed that it's so easy for you to focus. You're not relaxed in the sense that you want to fall asleep. You're relaxed to the sense that it's easy for you to focus. There's no like there's no genie that would suddenly appear. There's none. You'd know that you finally got connected from someone that is totally distraught, worried about the daily thing, and then all of a sudden you get this connection and keeps you calm. It just makes you calm, and it's so calm that everything is clear. What to do, what to act on, how to decide, what to prioritize, and so on and so forth. Of course, this feeling, fades, which is why it's better to do this on a daily basis. The feeling can be fleeting, especially as you go to as you ride the rest of the day, as you face many problems, the feeling fades. But at the end of the day, when you start your day, everything is clear, and then you ride through the motion, and then okay, reset, and then tomorrow you do it again, so you get the same focus, you get the same vibration, you get the same feeling, so that the rest of the problem the next day is something that you can address in a calm manner. I hope that's clear. But yes, that's the thing that I can enunciate or explain using the right words. It's just you're calm, but you don't want to fall asleep. You're calm, but because you're much more focused. That's a sign that you want through the sage mode. By the way, when you're starting the sage mode, I understand the frustration, especially if you're a beginner. When you're going to do this, you're going to feel bad because you couldn't find that connection or that sage mode, or you couldn't focus, or you couldn't relax, and so on and so forth. That's fine. It's part of the process. The sage, it took me a year. It took me a year to actually find that connection, that sage mode. And when I finally found it, it's, oh, that's it. Okay. All right. Okay, so it's for Chell. In terms of for manifestation, if you're a beginner, then you use the divine blessing. But if you're just going to connect with or on a daily basis, this is on a daily basis, I don't do the daily chase as much. When there's something that's more significant, then I chase the divine blessing. But when it comes to on a daily basis, my purpose is to connect, and at the same time, to remind myself of my goals. I don't use the time anymore. I sit when I sit. I sage when I sage. I use the daily as my connection. But if you want to talk about the divine blessing or the chasing, then you follow this. Okay, divine blessing is all about manifestation. If there's some goal that you want to have and achieve, then you chase the divine blessing. Okay, good. Other questions and clarifications about the Kimen Dunja? I will create more videos about the Kimen Dunja to give you more information, especially if you're a beginner. Okay. Other question, Miss Shell? You're good na? By the way, this is my last looking forward. Yes, thank you. By the way, I think Michelle is familiar with the monthly star. I think what you're also referring to. What you can do is what I'm going to do now. Okay, since we started discussing key men, I'm going to include the monthly star location. So this can also serve as to what you want to chase on a monthly basis. When we're chasing the monthly star, it's very short. Of course, you have to expect it's just a month. So it's not something that's significant. This is perfect if you want to chase small goals, okay, monthly goals and so on. But in terms of the significance of its effect, it's faster. Well, yeah, a little bit faster since this is a little bit faster in a sense because I was able to properly align my specific goal to that specific sector. Okay, it's not like as if compared to your what do you call this, your sage mode, wherein anything that you wish for can happen, you can wish. This, on the other hand, when we talk about the monthly, something that is aligned for that sector to make it possible within that sector and within that arrange, the alignment and so on and so forth. What I do is I pick my goal that's connected to that sector to make it happen. I hope that's clear, but I'll elaborate further when we're talking about the monthly stars. But this is just a beginning, so you don't have to worry. This is just a beginning when it comes to the Cleveland Luna if you're a beginner. All right. Yes, thank you so much, Shell. I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much for always joining my live. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next session. So definitely all the forecasts will have the Cayman monthly forecast, and slowly I'll be able to explain to you how to actually use the stars for the Cayman Luna. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.